Okay. So the preferred textbook already in the previous session, I already explained you people that this is a prescribed textbook what you people have to go through. Internet of Things, A. Bhagya and V. Madhisetti. Okay, this is a prescribed textbook. You people can get it from Amazon. Anyhow, we don't have a soft copy. We are not able to get the soft copy of this particular textbook. If you people possible, you can try it up, then please try and let me know. If you get it, please pass me also. Okay, the second textbook, what we are going to focus on is related to your Python. It's not compulsory to use the same textbook, but if preferred, that's much more better. Or else you people can use your previous textbooks, whatever you people have learned related to your Python. Yeah. Now coming to the content part here, so this is what the content what we are going to see. Actually, your first unit I have divided into two different parts. Okay, part one and part two. So this is the overall representation of your part one. So this is not related to part two. Only part one content I am displaying here. So first and foremost thing what we are going to learn here is the definition of Internet of Things. But before that, we will see some kind of introduction. So after completing that introduction, we will be moving into what do you mean by IoT. So there is no specific definition for IoT, but still many of the researchers and many of the experts in this particular domain has given some definition which we will be going through it. Then we will be discussing about the characteristics of IoT which are similar to, which is almost equal to definition of IoT. So all the characteristics what we are going to discuss here that will be covered in the definition itself. So that we will see. And then we have something called physical design of IoT. This is most important in your first part of physical design. So what we are going to do in this exactly is we are going to know the block diagram for IoT device. Now any device you take and you deploy in an environment and you start working with that particular device and you try to get the information from that particular device, whatever you people are doing it in Internet of Things, it requires one kind of diagram. So that is what we represent as a block diagram. So based on this, you people will be creating different applications. Okay, we will be creating different applications. Same way, since we are talking about block diagrams, definitely there will be some interfaces in between to transmit the data. So definitely that requires some kind of protocols. So that protocols we are going to see in the physical design. This is going to take a little time because we need to discuss in depth. In other sense, what I can say regarding this is you can assume this physical design of IoT as what we call the OSI layer. Like in computer networks, we discussed about OSI layers, right? We do have 7 layers. Same way, here also we do have different layers. Every layer will have its own protocols, and using those protocols, we are going to perform the operations. So these we are going to see in our physical design of IoT. After this, we do have something called as logical design of IoT. So what do you mean by logical design here is, since the physical design is concentrating on the layers, but in between whatever the protocols we are going to use, so that requires some kind of applications, right? We have something called APIs, application program interface. We require something called some kind of APIs. That APIs we are going to discuss on that. So what are else we are going to cover in that is nothing but the IoT functional block, the IoT communication model. So this communication model is one of the important models. We have various variants, different flavors of communication model, and based upon the requirement of the project, whatever we are doing or we are working with IoT, we can use any one of these particular models. Okay. And coming to the finally, the last one is IoT communication APIs. As I told you that we require application program interface. Among them, we are going to discuss about around two, REST-based communication APIs and WebSocket-based communication API. WebSocket is most important because it is dual mode. We usually call it as a dual mode. What is in the dual mode is it's nothing like a full two-way communication takes place here in WebSocket-based communication, means both at a time. Other words, what we can say is it is a full duplex communication. Full duplex, okay, means like your mobile phones. You're having a conversation with your friend, so that is based on full duplex. And we also have something called as half duplex. Half duplex in the sense, at a time only one person can speak. Like you're connected to your friend, but at a time you can speak. After you complete speaking it, then the other person can speak. In between, you cannot interrupt that one another. So that is what we call half duplex. But whereas coming to this particular full duplex, it is purely based on, WebSocket, it is purely based on full duplex communication. Okay. So let's begin. We'll go to the first one. Yeah, introduction part. So coming to this, what do you mean by Internet of Things? Well, here I will just take few minutes to explain you people related to the history of IoT. So what do you mean by IoT basically here? So here, Internet of Things, right? So here the name itself it is saying different devices which are connected together, okay, using a internet, and every device is having its own unique identity. Like for example, your IP address or MAC address means every device will have a unique identity. Okay, so how we can get a unique identity? That may be depending upon the device what you are connecting to the net. Maybe IP address is a unique IP address will be a unique ID, and at the same time the MAC address of the system is also a unique ID. Okay, so all the electronic devices which people are connecting with the help of an internet, and every device is having its own unique identity, is what we call Internet of Things. But there is a small problem here. What is the problem? Well, here the researchers, what they're saying, they are not actually concerned about devices which are directly connected to net. For example, if you take your smartphone, everyone nowadays are using smartphones, right? Everyone is having it. So that has its own MAC address, that has its own IP address. So whenever you're switching on your Wi-Fi or your data, okay, data, so what happens? It is directly getting connected to the net. So can you say this is the Internet of Things? Your mobile phone? Well, that's little typical. That is one type of thing, but not exactly. Means what is the main purpose of Internet of Things is connecting the devices to the internet, but not these devices. The devices which are not been connected till now. For example, I'll give you a small example. Irrigation pump. Take an example of an irrigation pump. I think you people know about irrigation pump. So it's nothing but a pump in a farming land which is used to pump the water and fill it up in the field. That so here what he needs to say in Internet of Things is we will connect a device to that pump. Okay, some device, electronic device. So what this device is going to do is it will identify the soil's moisture. Whatever the moisture is present in the soil, it will keep on reading the data. Whenever it comes to know that the soil is dry, it will automatically switch on that pump, irrigation pump, and it will start filling the water over that particular soil. And once it comes to know, it will keep on reading the data. So once it comes to know that the soil is wet, so it automatically switches on that particular device, that is irrigation pump. So this is what he means to say here, Internet of Things. Not only your mobile phones, not only your laptops, not only your personal computers. He is talking about the smallest electronic device which is connected. Okay, the best example, the one more example which I can give you people is related to your earphones. Right now, we people are using earphones, but nowadays we have something called wireless headphones and earphones. Means you don't have to connect the jack to your mobile phone directly with the help of a Bluetooth. So what are you doing here? You are connecting two different devices without physically connecting each other. Okay, so that also comes under your Internet of Things. So these are some of the things what he's talking. So this is what he means to say the Internet of Things. Okay, and these devices whichever are reading the data, this data will be either stored, okay, it will be transmitted to some database, or it may be transmitted to some cloud related technologies. Cloud related technologies are nothing but cloud related databases, whatever we have, that will be storing the information which is read by these particular IoT devices. And I also, in the previous session, I already explained you that by the year 2020, there will be a total of 50 million devices. Okay, that devices is what he is calling it as things. Don't get confused. Devices and things are same. Okay, things in the sense, the one which we can sense it, we can feel it. So that is nothing but the electronic devices which can be connected to net. So what do you think? By the year 2020, there will be a total of 50 million devices connected to the net. So you can assume, so you can serve that how much 1 million is equal to that into 50. that many devices by the end of 2020 will be connected with the internet. That's a very huge amount. That's not a small amount, very huge amount. That many devices will be connected because everything after this corona cases and all, now this internet of things role has become more important. And they are actually the companies like Microsoft, your Bill Gates company, as well as the Apple and what we call Google. These people are deploying the more and more devices so that they can try to get the data, and based on that they can analyze it, how the future will be, how the generations, which direction the generations are going. So those things all comes under this. Okay, so as I told you, the scope of IoT. Now coming to the scope, so what we are saying, IoT is nothing but set of electronic devices which are connected to a net, and with the help of that they are performing operations. But actually the scope, the real scope of Internet of Things is not limited to that. It is not at all limited to that. It is beyond that particular, means what till now we have an idea is Internet of Things is the electronic devices connected to net, internet, okay, through a network. That is Internet of Things. No, further that we have still more. What is that is, after getting connected, these devices will communicate with each other. They will try to exchange information with each other. So this communication can be either machine to machine, or it can be a machine to an application, or it can be a machine to a user. That depends upon the situation or the project, whatever the user is actually trying to develop. Okay, but here Internet of Things in the sense connecting the devices. I'm repeating it again. Connecting the devices to the network which has unique identities, and after communication they try to exchange the data with each other, okay, so that some meaningful operation can take place or either some goal. So for what purpose we people are deploying those devices, that particular goal is meant. That is the reason. Okay, so what are the different steps we have for inferring knowledge? So actually, this one I'll explain a small exam, what we call diagram that will come in the next slide. Here you just go focus on the content what I'm explaining here. So the first and foremost thing what we have related to data is that we people come across something called big data analytics. So what is the main reason to use this big data analytics? So we know that in our world, a huge amount of data is generated, very huge. Recently, IBM researchers have presented a paper stating that by the end of 2030, there is going to be a lot of changes being come up, because the data that is getting generated every day is so much that by 2030, it will cross half the weight of our Earth. That is what they're saying. Okay, that's just a rough estimation they have provided, theoretical estimation. No, practically it's not been means practical things are not been represented yet. Just theoretically they have assumed, and they said that there is a possibility that by 2030 our hardware devices may not be able to support to store the data, because per day huge amount of data is getting generated, very huge amount of data. So here that data is what we call it as raw data. Okay, remember this, what I am calling it raw data. Earlier, whatever the fresh data, for example, you people are trying to create a project. For that, you people require data sets. Okay, so when you people get a data set, that data set is what we call it as a raw data. Why we are calling that as a raw data is nothing but it is not in a systematic way. Means it is a mix of everything. We require only few points in that, not every point in that. Okay, some columns are required for our requirement for our project, but remaining are not required. So that is what's called as raw data. Everything will be there in that. From that we need to segregate our data. So whatever the properties we require, whatever the columns we require in that we have to segregate it, and remaining we need to flush it off. That is what we generally call it as application is what we call it as information. Okay, so that information can be done. How that information we can receive is by performing some filtering operations. So initially, remember, we have a raw data, and this data we will be applying some filter operations such as contextualizing or like filtering, processing, and we'll try to remove the unwanted data. Okay, if I am not wrong, so in computer networks lab, during the Vecca tool, we people not computer networks, this data mining lab. So you people have worked with the Veka tool. In the first step, the faculty has provided you with a set of Excel sheets, and in that Excel sheet, there are some numbers missing. So they asked to filter, they asked you to fill that with an average value or a mean value or a median value. That is what we call it as filtering or processing. Okay, other name we can call it as a condensing. Okay, so after that, whatever the information you get, that is what we call it as information. Now, with the help of that particular information, we are going to try to get the knowledge. Three things are common here. Remember, raw data, information, knowledge. From the raw data, we will apply some filtering techniques and we'll try to get the information what we require. Now, using this information, whatever we receive, we try to get the knowledge. How? That I'll explain it. First, let me explain with a small, using a diagram so that you can get a clear idea about that. Yeah. So this is the diagram. Look at here. So coming to the data, so what do you mean by data here? I told you already, data is nothing but it's a raw data which is not processed. Okay, everything is present in that particular file or that data. Okay, raw data, everything is there. But among that everything, whatever is there, we wanted to use only few features. There are a lot of features present in the data, but I wanted to use only certain features of it. Not every feature is required for my project. So that thing is what we call it as a raw data. Now from that raw data, we need to get the information. That is nothing but the features which I want to use in my project. So how can I get it? So that can be done either using filtering or can be done using processing or it can be done by categorizing condensation. So these all are same techniques. Filtering is nothing but filtering unwanted data. Like if some other unwanted symbols are there, unwanted data is there, that removal. Processing in the sense, if any of the value is missing in the data, then you can do either mean or median and you can fill that particular column. Okay, that shell that you already people have a brief have a basic idea related to that in your Veka tool lab. Okay, so that is what we call. So based on that, we get the information, and using this information, what you people are going to do? You people are going to get the knowledge. Okay, so that is what we are doing it in this particular scenario. Now I'll explain that with a simple example. Let us consider we are working with a weather monitoring system. We are working with the weather monitoring system. Now, please listen carefully. Assume that I have provided or the system, whatever we are using is generating values in a pair. Pair, I think you people can understand there will be two tuples in that. Okay, so in a pair, what we have two tuples will be having. So in the first pair, it is determining 72, okay, and 45. So in the first pair, it is determining 72 and 45. In the next pair, it is determining 84 and 56. Now, if I ask the people, if I provide this data to anyone, any user, will they be able to understand what exactly this is? I told you that this is a weather monitoring system, and I gave you a set of two pairs of values. Okay, each pair consists of two tuples. Now, can you say what exactly this 72 is, this 45 or 84 or 56? No, right? We can't say because we don't know. No information is given. So that's why this is what we call it as a raw data. Now let's convert this raw data into information. How? Now the devices are reading these values and transmitting us. Okay, this data, what he's saying is the devices are reading and transmitting us this information. So this data represents the first tuple, that 72 represents the temperature and 45 represents humidity. Okay. So what is the information we have inferred from that is the first tuple, the first pair what we are taking 72 and 45. 72 is referring to temperature and 45 is referring to humidity. Now you got a small information from the raw data. Earlier we don't know what is that 72 and 45, but right now we have information. What is the information we have? That first tuple in the pair represents the temperature, okay, and the second tuple represents the humidity. That is what we call it as information. Now from this information, we are trying to get the knowledge. How? How to get a knowledge? So, okay. Now let us suppose in the same manner, whatever the values I gave you in the same manner, we are getting 5 different readings. We are getting 5 different readings per second. Okay. So what knowledge is going to, how we are going to gain knowledge is, I wanted to know what is the average value of or the average temperature we are getting per day. So in a day, let us suppose we are taking 5 readings. I wanted to know per day what is the average temperature. Okay, so that what how we can do that? By taking the first tuple in the pair, we will do average of all the 5 readings what we got. We have taken 5 readings. In the 5 readings, the first value of every pair we will take. We will do a simple mathematical operation that is called addition, and then we'll do the average of it. Okay. So once we are doing it, you will get the average value. So on an average, every day the normal temperature is this. This is the way your weather monitoring stations work. It's very simple, right? So just simple taking the readings from the environment, storing it in your cloud. So whenever you're required, you can try to infer different knowledge. How you can get it? Same by performing this mathematical operation. Now you wanted to determine whether what will be the humidity. What is the average humidity per day? Okay, so what you can do simply you can take the second tuple from each case and then you can perform average of it and finally you will get the value. It's simple. Same way, if you wanted to determine whether today is rainy or not, how we can do? So based upon the past data collected from previous years, I want to know whether today is 25th, 25th August, or sorry, 26th. So 26th August, what is the temperature? Whether it will rain or not. So how can I determine? Means it can be determined only if we have a data of previous year. On 25th August or 26th August, what was the day on that particular day? Whether it was raining, whether it was shiny, whatever it is. If we know that data of past 10 years, then based on that I can predict that what will be the day tomorrow, whether it will be rainy or whether it will be something called sunny, or whether it will be dull climate, whether it will be bright climate, whatever it is. So this is what we call. So these three are most important in our scenario here. So first one is data. So whatever the data we have, we call it as a raw data. For that, we will be performing some filtering operations so that we can get some information which is required by us. And using that information, we will try to gain, we'll try to improve our IQ levels. That is nothing but gaining the knowledge by performing different operations on that. Okay, so I hope this is clear with you. This is most important because in IoT this is a basic funda that has been used in order to get or in order to perform the different operations. Okay, we'll go to the next slide now. So what are the different applications of Internet of Things we do have? Well, please understand this concept clearly because whatever the applications we are going to discuss right now, this is your second part. In the first unit, the second half is related to your applications. So first we have something called as home. So in home automation systems, how we can use Internet of Things. So the very first and foremost thing is smart lighting. Smart lighting in the sense, this is something related to the mood. For example, smart lighting in the sense, for example, today you are feeling very dull. Okay, and within the room you're having a lot of brightness. You don't want to have that. When you had some fight with your friend, okay, or your best friend, so you're not in a mood to have such a kind of bright light. So what you can do, you can dim that light. Okay, you can make that light dull based upon your mood. That is what we call it as smart lighting. Okay, same with smart appliances. What do you mean by smart appliances? Is nothing but your AC. And like yesterday, when we were in the previous session, when we were discussing, I told you that you want your room to be get cooled before you enter that room. Okay. So what you can do, you can use your mobile phone using an application. You can switch on the AC before 15 minutes before entering that particular room. So all those kind of devices is what we call it as smart appliances. Okay. Then intrusion detection, I already told you in front of a door, you will be having some lock mechanism which the intruder, if try to open it up, immediately it will send an alarm. Okay. So that comes under intrusion. Same way we have smoke and gas detectors. So in our home we have cylinders, right? And again we have other kind of smoke. So these smoke detectors, mostly these smoke detectors you can see in companies also, where whenever a fire comes up, automatically the water starts sprinkling from the pipes that have been assembled in the floor, on the top floors, right? So that things all comes under home automation systems. It's very important. So what all comes under home is nothing but home automation is smart lighting, smart appliances, intrusion detection, and smoke gas detector. So next, what we do have next is cities. Cities is most important, right? So cities, what we can go through is smart parking. So in cities, what is saying is smart parking. So what do you mean by smart parking in the sense? Here, IoT can be used to determine where there are available slots to park the car. For example, you people usually visit RK Beach, okay? And mostly few people are visiting during Sunday, there will be a lot of rush. So definitely there should be some car parking in order to park your car. Maybe a car parking or a bike parking or anything. So when you wanted to park it, but before reaching that particular destination, you wanted to know where exactly the slot is available so that you can directly go and park your car or a vehicle at that particular location. So how we can get it? That can be done with the help of this smart parking concept where Internet of Things can be playing a very vital role. Mostly this has been used in your metropolitan cities in India, and coming to foreign countries, definitely these people are using a lot. Okay, smart parking has been used a lot in foreign countries, but in India, very few places at metropolitan cities you can see this concept. But nowadays, it is getting coming up since the population is getting increased. The what we call the places are getting limited. So smart parking concept is also coming up. So we can't park each and every place. We'll be having a separate building for that, and there only we have to park. So within the building, where exactly the slot is available, to determine that, we will be using this Internet of Things. Next comes smart roads. These are used for determining whether the roads are broken or not, whether they are healthy, means they are fully working, functional, active or not. All these things considered smart. Same way, structural health monitoring. So in order to monitor the health, like for example, if some BP patient is there, okay, and the doctor wants to get that patient's information regularly on his mobile phone every day. So how it can come? So that can come with the help of the structural health monitoring system. So whenever there is a rise in the rise in the blood pressure of a patient, immediately an alert will be transmitted to the what we call the doctor, and he will be suggesting some medicines immediately, or he may take some action immediately. So that comes under that. Similarly, emergency responses and all, we can use this smart city. Next, we have something called environment. This is most important because why this is important is in our case studies, we have weather monitoring. So definitely we are going to look into this particular concept, weather monitoring. For first and foremost information, in air pollution monitoring, you can understand how the government is saying that the pollution, this particular city is maximum polluted. So that's purely based on Internet of Things. If they are using that, then only they can say. Like mostly you might have heard some 6 or 7 months back, before this pandemic situation, that Delhi is one of the most populated, air polluted city right now. They are not having any, they are not able to take any, that means no precaution is able to prevent that air pollution. So how they are able to say that this is one of the most polluted? Air polluted city means based upon this Internet of Things. Using the devices they are taking reading every day based on the analysis they came to know. Okay. Same way, we have noise pollution monitoring that also we can do, and forest fire. This is most important to detect the fires in the early itself. We can use this particular concept. Next is related to your energy. So coming to the energy here, we have smart grids. Smart grids, well, I can't explain right now what exactly smart grids are. This is like just have a vision that smart grids are nothing but we can say solar panels. You might have seen solar panels, right? The smart grids are similar to that. These are used to store the energy and store the electricity. Whatever the electricity is getting generated, to store it up, we use this smart grid technology. And the best part of this, why we are calling it smart in the sense, Based upon the requirement, how much electricity is required, it will provide you that much only. Something like pay per use model. Okay, you want to use electricity for 1 hour for one fan, so it will provide you electricity for only 1 hour for one fan, and based on that you have to pay it. And if you want to extend it, you can do it, but you have to pay more. Okay, so if it's 1 more hour, you have to pay for 1 more hour. That is what comes under smart grid. Same way, renewable energy systems is actually related to the energy that is generated from nature. Okay, like I told you, sun, solar panels. I don't know how many of you know that, but in Gujarat, they are going to deploy, and even it is the vision of our Prime Minister that by the end of 2030, 80% of the renewable energy, means the electricity that is getting generated, should be generated from the natural resources like sun, not from what we call this other means. Okay, so that is what comes under this. Prognostic is nothing but overcoming the problems that are related to this energy resources. That is what it's saying. Next comes retail. This one consists of inventory management, smart payment, smart vending machine. Well, I think you people know about this inventory management. I think same smart payment. Smart payment is nothing but I already told you people that when you go to a DMart and try to access some resources, you are going to pay for that. How you people are paying it? Using a debit or credit card. But nowadays you get a small antenna in that credit card. You don't have to insert that to the POS machine. You simply have to place in front of it, and automatically your amount is going to get detected. That is what called smart payments. Then a smart vending machine. That is what comes. So vending machine is a sense on what you people are going to keep that credit card is nothing but a vending machine. Okay, so these are some of the places where we can use Internet of Things. Logistics, yes, you people are keeping track of related to the items which you have ordered from Amazon or Flipkart, right? So you keep on tracking that shipment, where it has reached, till where it has arrived, whether it arrived or not, what. So he's giving the schedule time. So by today afternoon, you'll get your item. How is doing that? Based upon this shipment monitoring and fleet tracking, all these concepts. So what all these things are actually using is nothing but Internet of Things. Next, agriculture. So we have something called smart irrigation and greenhouse controls. So using this, it is doing it. We will discuss about them in detail later. Okay, so I can't explain everything in this particular thing in a short time. So it requires a little more information. Industry. Coming to industry, we have mission diagnosis and prognosis. That is nothing but automatically detecting where the mission has went wrong. Suppose automated machines are there, some of the machines got wrong. So automatically detecting it without the human intervention, where exactly the problem is. That is what comes under this. Indoor air quality monitoring. So this one I can explain that this thing can be used in our steel plants. Steel plant blast furnace, if you talk about, it has an extreme heat. We human beings cannot go inside, but they wanted to know what is the indoor quality of our air present in there. So they can use these sensors. They can use this Internet of Things concept and try to determine the air quality in that blast furnace. Blast furnace is having 1000 degrees centigrade. No human being can go there and see anything in that. Okay, if anyone is going there, he is no doubt he is not going to come back. So that's the thing. Okay, so that's related to your industry. Now we have something called health and lifestyle. Well, this one I think much more familiar. Among all this, whatever we discussed, you people might be familiar with this health and lifestyle. You people use fitness bands, okay, fitness wearables, all the electronic gadgets and all. You people are using it, which provides information related to your heart monitoring, your steps, how much calories you have burned, uh, much more, blood pressure. So all these things comes under health. And so all these are actually based on Internet of Things concept. These all applications comes under Internet of Things. Yeah. Now let's come back to the definition. Now the basic definition that is provided, you people can just read it up. Uh, what he's saying exactly here is whatever we have discussed now, he is collaborating it. He is giving it in a single sentence now. Okay, so this is not fixed definition for IoT, but this is one of the definition given by our authors. So what is saying? What do you mean by IoT is nothing but it's a global, dynamic global network. So why is calling it as a dynamic means based upon time to time it will keep on changing automatically. Global means globally it is connected, worldwide it is connected. Okay, a dynamic global network infrastructure which has its own self-configuring capabilities. What does that mean is whatever the systems you people are deploying in the environment, they can configure themselves. They have the ability. It is they have been programmed in such a way they can automatically configure to the latest version. So how they can do it? Definitely they require some kind of protocols. What protocols they require? They require a communication protocols. Okay, so these protocols using it, they may be either physical or maybe virtual. Okay, so these protocols, using these protocols, we can self-configure them, and every device will have its own identity, its own attributes and personality. Okay, and based on this, these all devices will be integrated into a network. Okay, it's very clear. What it means to say, in short, I'm going to explain it. We have a network infrastructure. We have a very big network infrastructure which will have certain devices. Now these devices will have its own self-configuring capabilities. Means they can automate. Means, so okay, don't think that they can configure themselves. Definitely, we need to write programs. Without writing program, they can't configure themselves. We will write a program which will try to reconfigure. I'll give you a small example. Our mobile phones consist of one app called as version update. Means if there are any new version has been released for your mobile phone operating system, it will ask you to update it. So what are you doing? You're doing manually. But here self-configure in the sense, your mobile will not ask permission to you to self-configure. If it comes to know that a new version of that operating system has been released, it will automatically reconfigure itself. Means it has been programmed in such a way that user don't have to give any permission, automatically it can configure it. That is what he means to say here, self-configuring capability. Now this self-configuring capabilities can be done with the help of a communication protocol. Without communication protocols, we cannot do it. Definitely any device which is connected to a network requires some protocol. They have to follow some protocol, then only they can transmit the data, they can receive the data, they can self-configure it. Okay, and every device will have its own identity, its attributes, personalities, intelligence, right? And all these will be connected to a network. That is what he's talking about in this. And based on that, we have a property. So don't get confused here. The properties, whatever he's explaining here, is a dynamic and self-adapting. You're seeing this? This is nothing but your first part, this one, dynamic global network infrastructure. So that is what he needs to say, dynamic and self-adapting. Self-configuring. So self-configuring already we discussed here. This is it. Next we have interoperable communication protocols. So that is in the second line we discussed about protocols. Using protocols only they can configure themselves, and then every device will have a unique identity, and all these things the devices are actually connected to a network. What kind of network? Which will generate some kind of information. Okay, for example, you people have deployed temperature sensors at your home. So what the temperature sensor is going to do, it is going to read the temperature of how many days you are placing it, that many days it will read the temperature and it will provide you that reading. So that is what the devices are doing. These devices are actually performing some useful information. What is that? They are trying to gather the temperature, environment temperature, and they are sending back to either to the cloud service or wherever you people are storing it up. So that is what he's saying in this particular scenario. So these are the characteristics of your IoT device. These are very easy. As I told you in the beginning, it's based upon the definition only. These people have actually explained it. Okay. Now coming to the physical design, this is most important. So please concentrate more on this. So here, before discussing about physical design of IoT, what he's saying is that whatever the things we are talking about in this IoT, they actually refer to the devices which have a unique identity. Okay, they have these are the devices which have unique identities and they can communicate. Okay, they perform some different operations. They have the capability to perform different operations like sensing, acquisition, and monitoring. So what is the main purpose of using this IoT device? Means first thing, they try to exchange the data with other devices or the applications to which these devices are connected. Okay, and it can be either directly done or it can be indirectly done. Okay, so means between I told you about mission to mission concept. So here that is nothing but device to device. So the data can be exchanged between mission to machine or mission to application. Application in the sense what we people are going to develop. So that application is going to connect. So it is going to give data directly to our application. Both are different. Now, apart from that, what these devices are going to do is they'll collect the data from others. They not only share the information, if they require other information, that also they are going to gather it and they'll process that information perfectly. Okay, and then they will send the data to centralized servers. Once the data is collected, I told you either that has to be transmitted to the application or it should be transmitted to the server. So what kind of server? It may be a centralized server. So centralized servers are nothing but the servers which are located at one particular location. Cloud-based applications are different. Cloud-based applications are the one where we will store the information in the cloud, okay, and we can access anywhere. But centralized servers means these are located at one particular location, but cloud is not the case. It can be located anywhere. So whatever the data that is gathered by these machines, that need to be transmitted to the servers. Now perform some tasks locally and other tasks within the IoT infrastructure. So obviously, once you people are able to gather the information related to temperature and all, you people can use that information for your different applications. Whatever the application that is being created, in that wherever it is required, you automatically we can store that information and we can process that particular information. Now this is the generic block diagram for your IoT device. This is the most important diagram. Okay, from now onwards, from this particular slide, you will be having different diagrams. You people can go through it. Okay, these diagrams are most important and please keep on practicing related to these particular devices. Now in this generic block diagram of IoT devices, what is showing is these devices will have several different type of interfaces. I think you people know about what I mean by interface, right? So any device want to interact with another device means they should have some kind of interface. If I'm talking to you people right now, I am delivering a class right now, that I am doing it with the help of one interface. What is the interface we are using here? Teams. If this interface is not there, we may not be able to interact with each other. I may not be able to explain you these slides so nicely, right? So if we have Zoom, Zoom is an interface. Okay, we have WebEx. WebEx is an interface for what? For conducting meetings, for taking workshops, for taking FDPs. So that way, these electronic devices which we comes under IoT, they have to interact with each other means they should have some kind of interfaces. So that interfaces are been represented in the format of a block diagram. Now if you look at here, it has several different type of interfaces. The first and foremost what you can see is iBio interfaces. These iBio interfaces are mainly input-output interfaces and these interfaces are mainly meant for sensors, actuators. So sensors and actuators means sensors are nothing but the devices what we are going to deploy. For example, I told you temperature sensor. So that sensors are nothing but the electronic devices which are connected to net. So these sensor devices, whatever you're deploying, maybe a temperature sensor, maybe a humidity sensor, or it may be some other kind of sensors. So these sensors will interface with each other with the help of this particular interface called as iBio. Next, we do have something called as audio by video interface. Now, why this is required? So it also does have some importance here. Okay, so what importance this interface is having is whenever you want to transfer some images, like nowadays, I don't know how many of you see latest Bollywood movies, mostly action related movies. If you see, the police people are able to identify a person using different cameras. They usually hack those cameras and try to capture the images of the individual pedestrians who are walking there, and they map it with the culprit, whatever they are having. So how these people are exactly doing it? So that thing is done using with the help of this particular interface. This is most important, okay, for transmitting video and audio related information. Same way we have storage interface, graphics. Graphics, I think you people know why we require GPU is required, graphical processing unit. Same way central processing unit is required for every device to perform the operation. And similarly, we have something called connectivity. Now this connectivity is for internet. Yes. Now the devices we are saying that we need to connect with the internet, right? So for that purpose, we require this particular connectivity. So we can be connecting it either using a USB or you can use an Ethernet cable, and with the help of that, you can connect it up. Well, other mediums are also there, but this is general block diagram, basic level block diagram he is talking about here. And finally, we have something called memory interfaces. So here memory interfaces in the sense we might be having limited memory. Since these devices are very small, they can't store the information. So definitely whatever the data values are getting read by these particular devices need to be transmitted to the cloud storage for storing in the memory, right? For that, definitely we require some kind of interfaces. That interfaces is talking about in this particular scenario. Well, this is just a brief introduction what I gave you. That is what represented in the format of a theory. So it consists of I/O interfaces for the sensors, interfaces for internet connectivity, memory and storage interface, audio video. Now coming to the protocols, this is most important now. Okay, so what are the IoT protocols? What are the different protocols we are going to use? I told you in the physical design is nothing but the OSL layer. Same way in IoT we do have layers. So let me show you the complete slide so that you can get the information. Now this is a complete slide related to your different layers in your IoT. So OSI model in computer networks, we have how many layers? 7 layers, right? But whereas coming to IP, we have 4 layers. Same way for IoT also, we do have only 4 layers. The first and foremost here is the link layer, followed with the network layer, then followed with the transport layer and application layer. So these layers are most important. If you talk about here link layer, if we talk about here, it actually supports a different type of mediums through which we can connect our devices to network. So one among them, well, these all we have already discussed in our computer network concept. So let's see in brief. In short, what do you mean by that? So first one is IEEE 802.3. So this 802.3 is nothing but a IEEE standard version name for Ethernet. Everyone knows about it. I think we already discussed it. We have seen different types of Ethernet. 10 gigabit fast Ethernet. Okay, 10 gigabit. So super fast something Ethernet. We have seen it. Okay, in that we also seen the variations. That also I'll show you in the next slide. So will just try to brush our knowledge related to this particular Ethernet. Then we have something called 8.2.11. This one everyone is familiar with. So the normal term what we use here is nothing but Wi-Fi. Okay. And then we have something called 802.16. This is new. Something called as WiMAX. Already I told, well, we discussed about this also in the CN class when we discussed in the previous semester. Then we have something called 802.15.4. Okay, so this is important now because this is mainly meant for IoT devices. Ethernet can be used for normal devices too, like your lappy and mobile phones. Wi-Fi can be used in that way, WiMAX. But this 802.15.4 LRWPAN, okay, I'll explain you what it is. Just for timing, you remember it. This device is actually meant for lower rate transmission because IoT devices are very small in size, and due to which their transmission rate is also very small. So they cannot be molded with high-end cables. So that purpose, these people actually designed this particular device. And the next one, you people already know that 2G, 3G, LTE. So right now we are using 4G, and maybe by the end of 2020, you may be getting 5G. Okay, so there is an advancement in that. So we will see what is the data rate of transmission in 2G. I think no one knows about the data rate of transmission of 2G, 3G, 4G. We will see that also. Data rate means how much data is transmitted per second. Okay, if you are using a 2G network, if you are using a 3G, or if you are using Ethernet or other devices. Now, on top of that, what is the layer we do have here is network layer. Now, this layer is responsible for packet transmission. So you can assume this link layer as a physical layer in OSI model, this network layer for transmission of packets. Okay, so this layer, network layer, is actually used for the transmission of packets, and also it is the responsibility of the network layer to make sure the route through which it has to transmit is determined previously. Means in hand they should know through which route they have to transmit the packet. So in order to transmit the packet, they need to use some kind of protocol. So they are using here IPv4, IPv6, and 6 low WPAN. If this is something like 6 low power wireless PAN personal area network. Okay, PAN is nothing but personal area network. W is nothing but wireless. 6 low means IPv6 low power wireless personal area network. This is important. This thing like 6 low WPAN and in link layer LRWPAN you will not find in the normal OSA models. These will not be present there. Why? Because these are actually designed mostly for IoT devices which are very small in size and which have a very less transmission. Right. Okay. Next, we have something called as transport layer on the top of the network layer. Now, transport layer is the main responsibility to make sure all the data packets are reaching without any loss. So here we can use two different type of protocols, TCP and UDP. I think you are familiar with TCP and UDP. TCP is nothing but transmission control protocol. And other words, we can say it is a connection oriented, right? And whereas coming to UDP, we discussed that it is a what UDP is user datagram protocol. It is connectionless. Which one is reliable? TCP is reliable in nature since it is connected. UDP is wireless, so it is not reliable. There is a possibility that the packets may lost when they are transmitted. But whereas coming to TCP, first the channel is established between the source and destination, and then the data is transmitted. So there is no possibility. There is very slightest possibility of the packets getting lost in TCP. But UDP is purely wireless broadcast. So definitely there is a 100% chance that the packets may get loose. Okay. So on top of that, we have something called as application layers. Well, we will discuss in brief all these whatever the topics we are discussing right now in the next coming slides. Okay. Till we will stop it here. So just a small part here. We have something called HTTP. You people are very much familiar with HTTP, Hypertext Transfer Protocol, which is used by the web browsers for browsing the net. COAP, this is related to your Internet of Things. It is a constrained application protocol. Well, we'll discuss about that. And in the content part, I already explained you related to the web sockets, right? So this is most important web sockets. Then we have MQTT. This is most interesting. This is very nice. And if time permits, in this semester, I will give you a practical representation related to this MQTT. Yeah, I will go you virtually. I will show you how this MQTT works, if possible, if we have time. Then we have XMPP. Yeah, remember this particular folder XMPP. Tomorrow we are going to discuss, and this XMPP protocol you people are using every day. The person who is using WhatsApp groups is using this particular protocol, XMPP. This is mainly meant for groups. Okay, so our WhatsApp, whatever the groups we are following, you are transmitting single message which is getting delivered to 62 of your classmates and remaining faculties or everything. They are using this protocol called as XMPP. I'll explain it in the coming slides. Next, we have DDS and AMQP. AMQP is also most important and DDS is also important. Okay, so we'll discuss this elaborately in the coming slides. So for today, we'll stop here. Okay, till here it is enough. In the coming session, we'll discuss all these layers, whatever this Ethernet, WiMAX, 2G, 3G, all these we are going to discuss in elaborated way tomorrow. In the tomorrow session, we'll discuss that. For today, we'll stop here. Okay, now let me stop the recording.